Hello, everyone. On a whim, I've decided to create a video unlike anything I've ever done before, or will ever do. A look into the incredible up-and-coming story of FromSoftware as a developer in their humble beginnings. A tale that very much follows the theme of their own games, overcoming hardships and being rewarded for it. So let's get into it, starting from the very beginning. Demon Souls. Part 1. Hidetaka Miyazaki. Believe it or not, FromSoftware didn't always have the incredible following they have today, even though they've existed long before they found fame, being founded in 1986. It wasn't until 2009, the release year of Demon Souls, that the company started to grow their, at the time, cult following. It all started with one man, or at this point, some would even say one legend, Hidetaka Miyazaki. Miyazaki was cripplingly poor as a child, and as a result of this poverty, turned to books from his local library for entertainment. It was in these books, most of which were far too advanced for his current reading ability, that Miyazaki-san decided to create his own story within the stories, filling in the blanks whenever he read over words that were outside his vocabulary, and creating his own tales with a boundless imagination, a luxury only afforded to us in our youth. Miyazaki, however, was different to many of the rest of us, as his imagination prevailed to be brimming with ideas, most of which are the reason why the lore in his games tend to be so elusive, shattered into hundreds, sometimes thousands of fragments, and hidden away in the item descriptions of the items you find during your journey. Hidetaka Miyazaki, at age 29, was finding it very difficult to enter the game development field, as very few companies were willing to give him a shot, one of those few being FromSoftware. It was here that he began his career, starting off as a mere game planner for Armored Core: Last Raven in 2004, a title already well in development. As a result of his contributions to this title, Miyazaki was given the opportunity to direct both Armored Core 4 and Armored Core 4 Answer. It was after the completion of these titles that Miyazaki was made aware of another title in development at FromSoftware, a title that is now known as Demon Souls. Part 2. Demon Souls. The project that came to be Demon Souls was already deemed a failure by the company, who had very little faith in the current product and only wished for it to be pushed out the door to see some kind of return on investment. It was this, in FromSoftware's eyes, inevitable failure that piqued Miyazaki's interests. He felt he was able to take control of this malleable project and turn it into whatever his heart desired, with zero risk, as it was already expected to fail. Shuhei Yoshida, the president of Sony Worldwide Studios at the time, played a prototype of the title and thought it was absolute crap. In his exact words, he stated, "This is crap. This is an unbelievably bad game." It seemed the rest of Japan agreed with him, as the game received mostly negative feedback when it saw an appearance at Tokyo Game Show and sold way under expectations upon its release. It was for this reason that Sony sold the rights to the game in North America and Europe to Atlus and Namco Bandai, respectively. For the publishing rights of this game to be sold to Atlus in North America, who at the time did not have the backing of Sega and was considered a small, niche publisher, speaks to just how little Sony believed in the title's success. Contrary to Sony's expectations, Demon Souls performed well in the West and was actually revered and praised for its punishing difficulty and advanced, sometimes convoluted systems with very little guidance to the player. It was from this success in the West that FromSoftware's seed, that is the Souls genre formula, sprouted into a small tree sapling, only beginning its long life. Namco Bandai was interested in continuing this partnership with FromSoftware and decided to greenlight development on a spiritual successor we now know today as Dark Souls. Part 3. Dark Souls. Dark Souls is where I, and many others, first delved into the wondrous mind of Miyazaki and the team at FromSoftware. They developed this incredible title, now known as the ultimate game of all time, in 2 short years, a Herculean task not possible for most. Regardless of its short development time, Dark Souls skyrocketed FromSoftware's popularity, and with the help of amazing marketing from Namco Bandai, the series broke out of its niche category and started to slowly but surely make its way into the mainstream. So much so, in fact, that Dark Souls received something Demon's Souls never did, a DLC expansion. This expansion not only added new areas, weapons, and NPCs to the base game, but also expanded on much of its lore. It was with the release of this DLC that Namco Bandai's incredible marketing came into play, advertising the version of the game including the DLC as the Prepare to Die edition, embracing the game's difficulty and almost challenging its consumers to give it a try. This amazing marketing, playing into the difficulty of the game, is what I personally feel eventually led to the overwhelming popularity of the games we see today. Immediately after the release of the DLC, Sony started to notice the success in its infancy and decided it was time to give FromSoftware and Miyazaki another chance. They approached them with a very tantalizing proposition, an offer to develop a new exclusive game for their brand new console, the PlayStation 4. This was a two birds with one stone situation for FromSoft, who not only would be given the chance to develop a new IP under the Sony banner, but also gain experience with their new console to be better prepared for development of their future titles. They also promised collaboration with their Japan studio in order to ensure smooth development of the new hardware. I'm sure it felt incredible for Miyazaki and his team to have Sony acknowledge that they underestimated their raw talent and ability to develop incredible new IP. The title they developed for Sony, with Miyazaki at the helm, is what we now know today as Bloodborne. Part 4: Bloodborne, Dark Souls 2, and Dark Souls 3. The reason why I combined these three games into one part is because they were all miraculously being developed at the same time. Namco Bandai tasted the success of Dark Souls 1, and they saw that as just the beginning. They were ready not only to greenlight the sequel, but even a trilogy, confident that these games would continue to grow and garner even greater success with the addition of their excellent marketing. However, as Miyazaki had his hands full directing Bloodborne for Sony, he was unavailable to direct Dark Souls 2, and instead decided to take a backseat role as a supervisor. Namco Bandai brought in Tomohiro Shibuya and Yui Tanimura, two people you've never heard of, and for a very good reason. I apologize, but I'm going to have to break from script here and just rant for a bit. I'm usually one for unpopular opinions, but in this case, I think I speak for the majority when I say, what the actual fuck is Dark Souls 2? They tied rolling to a stat, and removed invincibility frames from them too. Why does this game feel so jank? It literally feels like the controls have arthritis. I don't think that makes sense, but what I'm trying to say is the movement and combat are so stiff and clunky it makes me want to pour fucking joint juice on my controller in hopes that it will loosen up a bit. Anyway, let's skip Dark Souls 2, or else this entire video will become a rant rather than be informational. So, moving on, let's talk about the games that were actually good. Actually, no, not good, incredible. Cue the fitting music, and let's get back on track. Okay, there we go. That's much better. So Bloodborne, where can I even begin? FromSoftware not only knocked it out of the park, but showed that they were able to create a new IP injected with the same formula and still make it feel fresh and new, while still letting players of the previous games feel right at home. There's just something about the way FromSoftware develops their games that no other developer has been able to match, a certain charm or energy that is exclusive to them as the originator of the genre. This is especially felt in Bloodborne, where the concept of the trick weapon expands so heavily on what was previously possible in the Souls games. The regain mechanic puts much more emphasis on fast-paced action and reaction rather than the shield-reliant combat of Souls. Fans and critics alike praised Bloodborne, and with a 92 Metacritic average of 100 critic reviews, it was clear Bloodborne was a hit for both Sony and FromSoftware. Even though it was limited to one platform, it sold 2 million copies by the end of 2015, its release year, and prompted Sony to greenlight an expansion. And I'm very careful on my wording here. Describing the Old Hunters expansion as a DLC would in fact be criminal. It more than doubled the weapons in the game and also added not only the best fights in the game, but in my opinion some of the best fights in the entirety of all their games. So, let's talk a bit about Dark Souls 3. Thankfully, Hidetaka Miyazaki was once again back at the helm, since most of the crucial development of this game was after Bloodborne's completion, and as a result of this, Miyazaki ensured a proper send-off for the Dark Souls series. It was a fitting end, or at least we thought it was, until FromSoftware once again released 2 separate DLCs, which yes, this time I will refer to them as DLCs because neither of them, in my opinion, added as much to Dark Souls 3 as the Old Hunters did for Bloodborne. This is not to say that the DLCs were not incredible. Lady Friede is still, to this day, one of my favorite bosses in all the games. Dark Souls 3, I feel, is where FromSoftware started to really establish themselves, as prior to the game's release, there were numerous streamers with early access who were doing an amazing job of hyping up the release and giving Namco Bandai free marketing. This never happened for their previous games, so it goes to show how far the series came at that point. They also got into an incredible rhythm of releasing title into DLC into title year after year, never missing a mark. Except for Dark Souls 2, but like I said, let's not talk about it. Breaking it down, we saw Demon Souls in 2009, Dark Souls in 2011, Dark Souls DLC in 2012, Dark Souls 2 in 2014, with its 3 DLCs the same year, Bloodborne in 2015, along with the remaster for Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3 in 2016, and Dark Souls 3 DLCs in 2017. Then in 2018, we got a VR game about fairies. Okay, so maybe we got a little off track with what they were known for, but I still enjoyed it for what it was. But in 2019, we got something incredible. The best rhythm game in existence. Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Part 5. Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. The wait for this game was absolutely excruciating, or at least I thought it was before the wait for Elden Ring was the thing. But man, oh man, was it worth the wait. I would be lying if I wasn't a bit worried about the left field publisher decision of Activision, who doesn't have the best track record, especially now, but I can say those worries were put at ease upon release. Sekiro has some of the most unique, satisfying combat in any game, period. It's impossible not to feel like an absolute badass as you perfectly parry blow after blow, with the satisfying audio feedback of swords clashing before viciously finishing off your target after breaking their posture. The game also did away with many convoluted aspects of their previous games, such as weapon scaling and the RPG aspects, such as leveling stats. Instead, they decided to go with a skill system and set protagonists that worked perfectly for what they were going for, and I was a little taken aback by how poor the translation was, which I found out was due to the fact that Activision decided not to use their usual company for translation, and it resulted in many descriptions and story moments not being very clear, but the gameplay more than made up for that. The reason why Sekiro is so important is because the streaming crowd that started to arise with Dark Souls 3 doubled down here with Sekiro, especially with how speedrun friendly the game was. The simplification of the game mechanics also played a huge part in the increased fan base for this game, and many people who didn't enjoy Dark Souls did in fact enjoy this game, proving that for some it was not the difficulty that turned them away, but the overcomplication of mechanics and the learning curve that come with that. Final part. Elden Ring. I doubt you could even imagine it. An open-world Dark Souls game, taking the best aspects and mechanics from all of FromSoft's previous games and combining them into their magnum opus. For a long time, none of us could. FromSoftware went dead silent after this game's initial reveal at E3 2019. I would be lying if I didn't also hollow and lose my mind with the rest of the community, as the lack of information on this game was truly maddening. The only thing keeping me sane was Mordecai's daily Elden Ring updates, where at least there, I had a sense of community where we all went mad together. Many fans thought the game was cancelled, as it wouldn't be surprising since a collaboration between George R.R. Martin and Hidetaka Miyazaki seemed way too good to be true. It wasn't until June of 2021, days off of being 2 years after its initial reveal, that FromSoftware decided to release Jeff Keighley from Gamer Prison and release the gameplay trailer at Summer Games Fest. The trailer not only restored our flames of ambition, but it actually solidified Elden Ring as a tangible game, mere months from release. The game was real. That alone was nearly past my ability of comprehension. The fact that not only was it real, but it looked as incredible as it did was a breath of fresh air after years of silence. Now it was just a few more months to release, as an actual date was given with the trailer instead of an obscure window of projected release. Skipping months forward and over the fact that the game was delayed by 1 month, as I'm not one for reliving trauma, we finally now have this incredible masterpiece in our hands, and I personally am still in the process of discovering all its secrets. It's so rare that a game with hype of this caliber actually lives up to expectations. Case in point, Cybercock 2077. But FromSoftware proved that regardless of the expectations they set, they will always deliver, pulling in an absolutely unbelievable score of 97 on Metacritic. And from what I played so far, it's definitely deserved. What a breath of fresh air this game is, completely redefining what the term open world means. It's not surprising that a developer of FromSoftware's caliber who managed to do something so unthinkable as to create their own genre of game was also able to take an already established type of game and build it from the ground up the way they wanted to. They truly thought of every possible flaw that could lead to unfair frustration for the player and remedied it with mechanics such as the very detailed useful map, the Stakes America, and the very easy to use fast travel system. In conclusion, I really don't know what FromSoftware could possibly do to top a game of this caliber, but I know if any developer can do it, it's them. I want to thank you all for watching and going on this long FromSoftware journey with me, from zero to hero.